Pixis was dying. The Sakari's most lethal hunt beast, worshipped for slaughtering billions across the stars, was wasting away in his cage. When every xenoscientist had shrugged and given up, the humans were called as a last desperate resort. On planet Zephyria, home of the deadly Sakari race, Pixis lay coiled in his reinforced containment cell. The serpentine beast's scales were dull, his gasping breaths rattling the prison's metal walls. Sakari elders paced outside the transparent barrier, eyeing their people's fading idol. The council had summoned a human of all creatures to treat the dying apex predator. It must be done, the chancellor hissed. The entire species could rampage if their god-king perishes. 2 masked guards brought the earthling vet down the elevator. Dr. Samuel Jackson had a reputation for cracking the galaxy's hardest medical cases, but never had so much hung in the balance. Every Sakari glared at him with a mix of distrust and a shred of hope as he approached the cell's airlock. "Your entire kind will be exterminated if you fail, ape," a guard snarled as the inner door hissed open. Dr. Jackson strode in, medkit in hand, coming face to face with a pair of bloodshot saurian eyes. Pixis let out a guttural growl that would have made a Sakari soil themselves. The human just cracked his knuckles. Better get to work before the twitchy guards decided to shoot him, as if that would help their overgrown snake. Samuel focused his eyes on Pixis's hulking form, cautiously stepping closer. Something caught his gaze, a slight glint of metal peeking out from between the creature's scales. He leaned in, gently parting the thick hide to get a better look. There, lodged deep into Pixis's flesh, was a dart. The vet's blood ran cold as he realized the implications. This was no disease or happenstance. Someone had deliberately poisoned the Sakari's revered beast. Samuel gritted his teeth, carefully extracting the dart with a pair of forceps. Pixis let out a weak growl of protest but remained still. Holding the dart up to the light, Samuel's brow furrowed. He had to work fast to identify the toxin and synthesize a cure. The human raced to his medkit, pulling out a portable analyzer. As he worked, the sounds of shouting and weapons fire began to echo from beyond the containment cell. Tensions had reached a boiling point. Commander Zaron, a hardened Sakari militant, saw opportunity in Pixis's weakness. He and his followers stormed the facility, determined to seize power and kill the ailing creature. In their eyes, the Sakari had grown complacent, too reliant on the legend of Pixis. Samuel's heart pounded as he watched the analyzer's readout. The poison was complex, but not beyond his skills. He set to work mixing a counteragent, painfully aware of the approaching combat. Just as he loaded the antidote into a syringe, the containment cell's door blasted open. Zaron and his troops poured into the room, weapons aimed at Pixis and the human standing defiantly before him. Samuel didn't hesitate. He plunged the syringe into Pixis's neck, praying it would take effect in time. For a moment, the chamber fell silent. Then a deep rumble emanated from the beast. Pixis began to rise, his scales shimmering with renewed strength. The serpent fixed its gaze upon Zaron, letting out a roar that shook the very walls. Even the battle-hardened commander faltered in the face of Pixis's might. Samuel stood tall beside the rejuvenated Pixis, adrenaline surging through his veins. He and the creature exchanged a glance, a moment of understanding passing between them. Together, they turned to face the militants, ready for battle. Just as Samuel and Pixis prepared to face down the militants, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the chamber. Captain Tyrix burst through the shattered doorway, a contingent of loyal Sakari guards at his back. The grizzled officer took in the scene with a steely gaze, his scales gleaming under the harsh lights. "Protect Pixis and the human," Tyrix barked, his voice cutting through the chaos. "The old ways must be preserved." The guards surged forward, engaging Zaron's troops in a fierce melee. Samuel, not one to sit idle, snatched a high-tech tranquilizer gun from a fallen militant. He took aim, the weapon feeling oddly familiar in his hands, and began firing with precision. Darts found their marks, dropping Zaron's followers left and right. Beside him, Pixis sprang into action, his massive form a blur of scales and fury. The serpent's jaws snapped shut around a militant, crushing armor like tinfoil. Its tail lashed out, sending another flying across the room. Samuel and Pixis fought as one, a strange but effective partnership forged in the heat of battle. As he fired, Samuel's mind raced. He had noticed something peculiar about Zaren's tactics. The militants seemed to focus their attacks on specific points along Pixis's body, weak spots that even the Sakari elders hadn't known about. A cold realization settled in Samuel's gut. Zaren must have orchestrated the poisoning, using it as a chance to study Pixis's vulnerabilities. Fueled by this knowledge, Samuel redoubled his efforts. He and Pixis pressed the advantage, driving the militants back with a relentless onslaught. Victory was close at hand. Then a deep mechanical roar filled the air. Zaren stood at the far end of the chamber, encased in a towering mech suit. The machine was a marvel of Sakari engineering, bristling with weapons designed to fell even the mightiest of beasts. The commander's eyes gleamed with malevolent anticipation as he stomped forward, each step shaking the ground. Samuel's heart pounded as Zaren closed in on Pixis, the mech suit's guns whirring to life. The vet knew he had to act fast. His gaze darted over the suit's armored plates, searching for any weakness. There, a small gap in the joint, exposing delicate circuitry. If he could just... Samuel's eyes locked onto the gap in Zaren's mech suit. He shouted to Captain T-Rex, his voice cutting through the din of battle. "There! Focus fire on the power core!" T-Rex relayed the command, his guards shifting their aim. Energy bolts slammed into the mech's weak point, sparks flying. Samuel raced to Pixis, tranquilizer gun in hand. He fired a dart into the creature's thick hide, the sedative taking effect. Pixis's eyes cleared, rage replaced by focus. Zaren, oblivious to the assault on his suit, raised the mech's arm for a crushing blow. Pixis tensed, ready to strike. Suddenly the power core exploded. Blinding light engulfed the mech, the suit crumpling in on itself. Zaren leapt from the cockpit as it crashed to the ground, a smouldering wreck. Pixis lunged, pinning Zaren under a massive foot. The serpent's eyes blazed with fury, jaws opening wide. "Pixis, no!" Samuel cried out. "Let him face Sakari justice." The beast hesitated, intelligence warring with instinct. Slowly Pixis stepped back, allowing T-Rex's guards to haul Zaren away in chains. The Sakari High Council strode into the chamber, their expressions unreadable. They approached Samuel and Pixis, the air thick with tension. "Human," the Chancellor began, his voice a rasping hiss. "You have done the impossible. Pixis lives and a traitor lies defeated." Samuel stood tall, meeting the Chancellor's gaze. "Pixis is more than a beast. He's a symbol of your strength, your honor. Zaren sought to destroy that." The Chancellor nodded slowly, his eyes shifting to Pixis. The serpent returned his gaze, a newfound understanding passing between them. "You have earned our respect, Samuel Jackson," the Chancellor declared, "and our gratitude. The Sakari owe you a great debt." Samuel glanced at Pixis, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "I think we've both learned something today, about trust and the bonds that can form between even the most unlikely allies." As the council members murmured their agreement, Samuel couldn't help but wonder what the future held. For him, for Pixis, and for the tenuous peace between their kinds. One thing was certain, the galaxy would never be the same. In the aftermath of the battle, an eerie calm settled over the chamber. The Sakari High Council, led by the venerable Councillor Zix, stepped forward, their ornate robes swishing against the metal floor. Zix, his scales a faded silver, and eyes gleaming with wisdom, approached Samuel and Pixis. "Dr. Jackson," Zix began, his voice a rasping whisper, "your actions today have proven your worth not only as a skilled healer, but as a true friend to the Sakari people." Samuel stood tall, meeting the councillor's gaze. "I only did what was right. Pixis is more than just a creature. He's a symbol of your strength and resilience." Zix nodded, a faint smile playing across his aged features. "Indeed, which is why we wish to extend an offer to you, human. Stay with us on Zephyria. Help us usher in a new era of understanding and cooperation between our kinds." Samuel's heart swelled with gratitude, but he knew his path lay elsewhere. "I am deeply honored, Counselor Zix, but my place is out there." He gestured to the stars visible through the chamber's viewport, helping creatures of all shapes and sizes, from the mightiest beasts to the smallest microbes. Zix's eyes shone with understanding. "Then go forth, Dr. Jackson. With the blessings of the Sakari people, know that you will always have a home here on Zephyria." As Samuel prepared to depart, Pixis approached him, the great serpent's scales glinting in the light. The creature lowered its massive head, bringing its eyes level with Samuel's. In that moment, a profound connection passed between them, a bond forged through shared struggle and mutual respect. Fighting back tears, Samuel reached out and placed his hand on Pixis's snout. The beast's hide was warm and rough beneath his palm, a testament to its incredible strength. "I'll never forget you, big guy," Samuel whispered. "Keep these folks in line for me, yeah?" Pixis let out a low rumble, a sound that reverberated through Samuel's very bones. It was a promise and acknowledgement of their unbreakable bond. With a final nod to the Sakari delegation, Samuel turned and strode towards his waiting ship. The sleek vessel hummed with power, ready to carry him to his next great adventure. Just as he was about to board, a shrill beep emanated from his communication device. Samuel's brow furrowed as he read the urgent message from the Galactic Federation. A new virus, unlike anything ever seen before, was ravaging planets across the galaxy. Creatures of all species were falling ill, ecosystems teetering on the brink of collapse. The Federation needed Samuel's expertise, and they needed it now. Samuel glanced back at Pixis and the Sakari, a pang of sadness in his chest. He knew he might never see them again, but duty called. With a heavy heart, he climbed into his ship, the hatch sealing behind him with a hiss. As the craft lifted off, Samuel watched Zephyria shrink beneath him, the planet's lush jungles and gleaming cities giving way to the infinite blackness of space. He steeled himself for the trials to come, drawing strength from the memories of his time among the Sakari, and the knowledge that he had made a difference in their world. The galaxy was a vast and dangerous place, filled with countless challenges and mysteries, but with individuals like Samuel Jackson ready to face them head-on, there was always hope for a brighter tomorrow. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.